Hello, good morning, welcome back to my channel. My name's Louise and this is Louise's Lifestyle. Thank you for joining me. So this morning it's a lovely sunny day here in Manchester. It's Sunday and I think the temperature is going to be about 21 to 23 degrees, which is nice, you know, that we're almost, well, we're halfway through May, almost heading to June now. It's nice to see the sun putting in an appearance, and I thought I'd do a video today on propagation of the betel leaf. This is a Bangla Paan variety, the large leaf variety. I featured this a number of times in my videos. So if you are a fan of betel leaf and want to know a little bit more about how to keep them alive, because they're not the easiest plants to grow here in the UK. If you're growing these plants indoors, a lot of people are now are getting these plants, but the messaging me saying my plants died and how do I keep it alive, etc. So today is a little bit more about the maintenance and propagation, and looking at two stages of propagation as well, from water and transferring into a more solid medium. So let's have a closer look at this betel leaf plant, and this is my second Bangla Paan variety. The first one I had for 8 years, from 2012 to 2020, and this plant I got after that, and it's had a few ups and downs. So last year when I came back from my holiday, I did do a video on the state of this plant. There were a lot of brown crispy leaves, and you can see there's still one on here. I didn't cut them off. I kept them on because the leaves still had green on them, and they need those leaves to absorb sunlight, which feeds the plant, feeds the roots, and you know, the whole process of keeping the plant alive is subject to creating food from photosynthesis, which is what the job of the leaf is. And it also is to allow water to evaporate from the leaf and absorb you know, sunlight. So that's why these leaves, I've not cut them off. So yeah, it's made a good recovery, but in recent months, especially during the winter when the heating was on, a lot of aphids on this plant. It's absolutely infested with them, and I was taking it to the bathroom every week, getting the hand shower on each leaf, giving it a good blasting, but literally they would come back within a couple of days. And recently, absolutely, it was covered. It looked terrible. And what the aphids do, they distort the leaves. So if you can see the shape of that leaf, that is damage done by aphids. And also, I'll just show you this leaf here. As you can see, it's got like a mottling appearance. I don't know if it's showing up on camera or not. If I hold it back a little bit, I'm not sure if it appears, but I don't know if you can see there's like a little, sort of like little dots on there, and that was a result of aphids causing, you know, they suck the life out of the plant. You see it there, like little pinholes. So I had to do something about it, and I have said this many times that I don't like to use bug spray on these betel leaf plants because it can equally damage the leaves. However, I wasn't getting anywhere with the water spray, so I used bug clear. So I used this insecticide, and it has sort of killed off all of the bugs that were on here. And you have to be very cautious though when you're using a bug spray on a plant, you know, whether it's an indoor or outdoor plant. You don't want them to be out in bright sunlight, because the bright sunlight reacts with the chemical and causes more damage. So you end up losing all the leaves that you were trying to protect. So the day that I sprayed this, it was on a greyish kind of overcast day, wasn't sunny, but also I kept it back from the window. So it was like in the corner of it. I took it outside and sprayed it, and then left it in the kitchen in a corner, and it was near light, but there was no bright sunlight, and that seems to have done the trick. No more nasty bugs on there. So cautiously you can use a bug spray on there, but I tend to try and use other methods first before that is a last resort, in my opinion anyway. The next thing is, when your plant's doing well, is basically try and take cuttings from it, you know, get some backup plants. And that's what I've recently done. I've had lots of people asking me about, have I got cuttings of this plant? So, you know, on videos that are like 2 or 3 years old, they still message me to say, I'd like a beetle leaf plant, have you got any, and have you got cuttings? So recently I have taken a couple, not that many. I've got 3 cuttings, but I'll show you 2, because these 2 here, these have rooted. I'm waiting for the other one to root. And notice they're not very tall, they're quite small, but they've got some decent roots on them. And now the next step is, when you see they've got roots like that, the next step is to transfer them into something solid, but not as solid as, say, a compost or a potting mix. The reason being is, if I were to transfer these straight into soil where they've used to being having water literally on tap, you know, it's there 24/7. If I were to put that in soil right now, guaranteed that these roots would start to rot and the plant would die. So the next stage up, let me just put this down, see if I can show you. This is cassia pan. Just ignore the brown scorched leaf there, that was from a grow light when it was in the fish tank. So this is in perlite. This is a cassia pan that started off in water and has ended up for too long actually. It's long overdue a repot into soil, but that's the next stage, is to get it in perlite. And there are drainage holes in here, and I water this every 2 or 3 days. So it's got water, but it's not sitting in water. So that's how you sort of go from this to this. Now, initially, I don't have drainage holes in there. So this will be suspended in perlite and water. So there'll be about 1 inch of water at the bottom, and then the plant roots will search for that water. So it'll start off in the perlite, and down at the bottom there'll be, say, about 1 inch of water, and then the plants start to spread out. And you can't really see it in here, but it has got quite a lot of roots. If I were to pull on that, I don't really want to do that, but there's a dark mass in there, and that's the roots are heavily concentrated in here. You can see some of these aerial roots as well. So the stage after this, once they've reached that stage where they're not totally dependent on the water, you know, they've anchored into something, you can then say transfer them into something like that, like an orchid bark mix. So this is my Piper Chaba or Chewy Jal. They're all same, well, they're all members of the Piper family. And so from perlite, I've gone to orchid bark, and these get watered as well very often. and I don't know if I can show you the roots on this plant, not as prominent. The roots are more prominent on the top of this plant, but they are anchored in there. And as I say, I use orchid bark because I find it seems to keep the root rot at bay, so the roots are not sitting constantly in wet, which is a bit of a contradiction from obviously rooting in water. But I mean, I could try leaving these in water, but I think eventually it would be starved of nutrients. I mean, possibly you could grow these in a hydroponic way and feed the hydroponic solution with nutrients. Maybe that's one for people who are interested in growing that way. But if you just wanted to grow them in the potting soil or compost, then that's the method that I would recommend, is start them off in water, transfer them into perlite with a bit of water, and then as you see the roots start to get more established, you can poke some holes in the bottom and allow that water to drain out, but that means you've got to water it a bit more frequently, and then eventually transfer into the compost or potting mix, whichever. But if you are transferring it into a potting mix, not orchid bark, I would suggest using a combination of say 50% perlite and 50% compost, and yeah, your plants should do well that way. In winter you might expect to see the leaves drop, and stop watering at that point. When you see the leaves are starting to drop, let the soil dry out, keep it in a nice sunny spot, if you know, or keep the light on it, like a grow light if the area that you're using isn't really sunny, you know, you've got a shady corner, maybe use a grow light. But yeah, they do need sun and water, but not waterlogged. So moisture around the roots, they like that, but they don't like to be waterlogged. So that's the video for today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and if you've got any questions about maintenance of beetle leaf, let me know in the comments box below. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.